time for our next keynote of the day. That is digital procurement moving at the speed of change, which is officially one of my favourite titles of the day. So whoever came up with that, I'm very impressed. My guest is Heidi Banks, Senior Director, Global Procurement, Cooper Source to Pay at Jabil. Heidi, hi, how are you?
I'm doing great today, thanks.
Excellent. Did you come up with that title? Because I'm very impressed with that one.
It is something we came up with as a team, thanks.
Okay, share the credit for that one. Well, the virtual floor is yours, and I'll come back with any questions at the end.
Great, thank you very much. Hi everyone, again my name is Heidi Banks, and I'm excited to talk to you today about how Jabil approached moving with the speed of change, transforming procurement from tactical to strategic using P2P and digital adoption technology. Now, I'm going to make an assumption here. Most of you in the audience are either considering a digital transformation, in the middle of one, or working towards ending your digital transformation and looking back and wondering how can you get more ROI out of your project. And most of us join those projects to digitize what we're doing in our procurement processes, trying to eliminate documentation and paperwork as we go through that, and we employ technology to try and accelerate us through our procurement journey. But there's one thing that we often forget. And I'm going to start off for just a minute and just show this funny little cartoon up here that's really talking about how we bury people with paperwork. Even when you digitize your process, we often employ people to create training documentation, change management documentation, and keeping up with the digital transformation becomes a challenge. IT Nation did a recent study, and they're talking about the recent generations having about 8 seconds of attention span. And that's a really short amount of time to catch people's attention when you're trying to explain the purpose of a digital transformation, how to execute their daily job functions, and how to navigate through the technology that we're imposing upon them. And so having a concise message, keeping things easy and convenient for those users is critical in order to deliver the most value from your digital transformation. So we're going to talk today about how you can influence behaviors and educate your employees using digital adoption technology. And we're going to talk about that over the sense of procurement technology, but really the sky's the limit with this type of capability, whether it's your IT management system, whether it's travel and expense. Today, we're going to focus on how it can help procurement. And really, digital transformation can't be fully effective unless you focus on a few things. And it really is as easy as communicating more effectively and at speed with that change, training users at the point of need, influencing buyer behaviors, and simplifying policy controls. So what we're going to do today is walk through a few personas that hopefully resonate with you and how we've used digital adoption technology to help us move with this change. The first one we're going to focus on is communication at speed and training at the point of need. And I want you to think about, how do you communicate policies, business processes, or training content to your existing and those new employees that are coming in every day? So we're going to explore Frank. Frank is an experienced design engineer. He comes into the job and he needs to buy some CAD software, a laptop, and some industrial supplies. But he doesn't know our company policies, he doesn't know our technology, and his manager simply said to use our P2P system to make your requests, and that he prefers and uses ABC Company for industrial supplies. So let's see how we can put this in action. So Frank, the first time he logs into the system, our digital adoption technology recognizes that he's a new employee and immediately shows him our procurement policy. This ensures that as he's in our procurement technology, we can communicate the policy, we can link him to training documents on the policy, videos, or content, and when he's comfortable with what he's learned, he can acknowledge the policy and continue on. And until he does that activity, he cannot make his first purchase. So Frank continues, and he's now in the system, and he sees things like recent activity and content groups, and he's not sure what these things mean. This is a screen without our digital adoption technology turned on. But when we turn it on, you can see that we can impose little help tips and tricks throughout the system where when Frank hovers over, he can get our business process definition of the fields in the technology and how to use them. So you can navigate to different areas and hover over and get tips and tricks as though his trainer were sitting right next to him without ever having stepped foot in a training room. The next thing that Frank recognizes is there's this little question box down in the corner. So he clicks on that and he's immediately presented with some guided walkthroughs, training content, and videos that we want all of our employees to have at their fingertips. So if they have a question in a process, they can get the answers right as they need it. But another thing that digital adoption provides is this ability to create these onboarding tasks. So for new employees, we can actually enforce that Frank has to go through these 6 training steps before he can ever create a transaction, ensuring that he gets the training when he needs it, in the context that he needs it, and that he's not going in and creating a transaction until he's executed that step. But let's take a step back and take a look at if he wants to click on how to create a PO. Guided walkthroughs are a great way to ensure that what you want to train your users is getting to them and the step-by-step instructions that you would have if you had a training session in person. In this case, we want them to start at the home screen, identifying what they need. We can walk them through, showing them different areas on the screen, taking them to a write a request, in this case, hyperlink, and then even going into that link and diving deeper, explaining each of the fields, how to populate them from a data quality standpoint, and what they mean and why they're important. So Frank now has had the policy introduced to him, been given some information around navigation in the system, and also how to walk through our business processes without needing a training course to do so. So let's take a little bit of a step deeper into what Frank was going to buy and how we can influence his buying behavior. And ask yourself about whether or not you're challenged with controlling maverick spending. So we're going to meet 2 more people. One is Bill, our Chief Procurement Officer, and Jane, one of our category managers. And Bill has been chartered with combating inflationary pricing and driving costs down. And so Jane has identified an opportunity where she's awarded a new industrial supplies partner, resulting in a 10% cost reduction. And also, Bill needs to reduce maverick spend and increase policy controls. So Jane has identified a couple of areas of interest, one being that with industrial supplies, we're using an old partner, so we have maverick spend to consider. And that for the laptops that she manages, she has users still using manual free text requests and buying off of our IT baseline. Without a digital adoption technology, this often is a retroactive or reactive process where you're finding the results and then trying to train and educate the users that may be going down these paths. But how can you get in front of them so that procurement can be more strategic and not worry about these tactical actions? So Frank is in the system, and our training steps told him to come here and search in our catalogs first, but he decided, I'm just going to skip to the 3rd recommended step and write a request. In this case, we've actually superimposed a button over that write a request form using digital adoption technology that intercepts him and asks him a couple questions. One is, what site are you buying for? He happens to buy for multiple sites. And what is it you're trying to buy? In this case, he's purchasing a laptop. So we're able to recommend back to him based on the site he's in and the category that he's trying to purchase that we have a preferred supplier catalog, we have a secondary supplier catalog, and then we have an off-baseline laptop request form. So if somebody wants to buy off baseline, they can answer a few questions about why and what they need. So procurement gets a fully vetted with requirements result when a request comes through. The user can click on any of these and get additional insight into why that catalog is important. You can add things like rebates and cost reductions or free shipping so that you're communicating to the teams why this strategic supplier should be used, and even give them links to take them back to the catalog or to that form. In our next example, if you remember, Frank was told by his boss to go to ABC Company for industrial supplies, but Jane had resourced that to Acme Company. So using digital adoption technology, we can watch what the user's doing on the screen and then provide them with immediate feedback from the procurement organization, letting them know that that is no longer a preferred supplier and they should be going to someone else. Giving them, again, links to show them where they can search for their product in the compliant catalog. In this case, Jane has even given them the ability to go ahead and continue. In the case that there's a reason why they can't use her strategic catalog, we're asking them to acknowledge that they've done the due diligence and searched in the other catalog. And if they still can't find the product they need, they can continue forward. This is a point at which you could also interpose a survey asking them, is it lead time, is it price, is it quality, is it availability? What is the reason why you can't go with our strategic partner? Giving Jane that immediate feedback that she needs to know how she can address gaps in her strategic supplier. So let's go through one more example, which is about policy controls. And I'm assuming that we all have very complex technology ecosystems out there where it's not just about procurement technology, but maybe you're using ServiceNow for IT software management and you have certain products that need to be bought through other systems. How do you make sure people are going to the right system for what they need? So we're going to meet Yvonne. Yvonne is an IT manager. She manages software asset management, and we have a policy that only IT managers can buy CAD software from suppliers, but the business needs to go through ServiceNow. So how can Yvonne communicate that to Frank, who needed to buy CAD software before he issues a PO to the supplier? So in this case, when Frank comes into the system, he's going to enter his supplier name in. We're going to be monitoring for that. And it's a CAD supplier. So we've presented, again in a different format, these images are according to what you need, that CAD software requires a ServiceNow ticket, and to click there to go ahead and go into ServiceNow. If Frank chooses to go past that, different scenario than the prior one. In the prior scenario, Jane allowed them to continue, but this is a fixed policy. If this was an IT manager, the digital adoption technology would recognize that they can make the purchase. In this case, Frank is not in IT, and so he's presented with a more firm message. And when he clicks on next, he's not just told, no, you can't buy it here. He's told where to go. So that link takes him out to ServiceNow and into the form that we have specified for ordering CAD software. So Frank didn't have to figure out where to go. We took him there, and in the end, he got what he needed, even though he started in a system, one system, and ended up going to another. So ultimately, in all of these use cases, we have multi-department success. We've been able to drive to our strategic partners, ensuring that that 10% cost reduction that Jane negotiated was captured. We've automated policy acknowledgement. We've communicated procurement's direction, delivered on our contractual cost reductions, reduced Maverick spending, and when we couldn't reduce Maverick spending, we were able to capture that immediate feedback so the category managers can get insight into where their strategic partners may need to do better or offer more. And it was based on persona. The IT team can make the purchase, Frank could not. And this is deployed centrally, one-to-many in communication without having to sit and educate individual sites and/or users about our policies, about our catalogs, and our strategic partners. And most importantly, Frank, in the center of it all, he was guided at his point of need when he needed to make that purchase, and we were able to influence his buying behavior in the meantime. Real quick, I'm just going to touch on the fact that we've got a services organization that actually offers assistance to other procurement teams that are trying to go through this journey. We want others to be able to learn from our experience. So if you're interested in considering, we don't have the software technology ourselves. We're not a software company, but we do offer our practitioner and procurement mindset in assessing how this can help you and helping to deploy and implement the software and really looking at how to optimize the environment and helping you build your use cases. And we've even got experience specifically with Coupa deployment, where a client of ours had digital adoption technology, but they just didn't know how to apply it to influence in the way that we've just described. So we were able to actually help them deliver their ROI within weeks versus months on the additional technology, and also help them increment cost reductions and rebates in the meantime by helping to reduce that maverick spend and go under our procurement policies. So ultimately, digital transformation is only a true transformation if you bring the users with you. And layering this over procure-to-pay technology or other technologies for that matter, allow your teams to be more strategic in what they're doing and less tactical in the day-to-day operation of trying to figure out why we're not getting the right amount of cost reductions or rebates, or why users are struggling in the system. It's helped us also reduce maverick spend, deliver ROI on our core P2P, as well as our digital adoption technology. And it's really helped us with faster employee onboarding, which is ultimately the end goal for all digital transformations. And with that, I would like to leave it open to some Q&A if anyone has any questions on this overall discussion and how we've implemented this for ourselves and the gaps that we've seen it close. There are additional use cases, but these are 3 great ones that typically resonate with most in the audience.
Well, Heidi, I've got a couple of questions I will jump in with very quickly. First of all, looking through that journey with Frank, who I was very invested in, how important is it that that kind of journey is properly tailored to the organisation it's working with?
I think it's very important. We oftentimes buy technology that's innovative and configurable, and it's going to solve all of our problems. But at the end of the day, the technology isn't necessarily set for your specific business case or your business process that you need employed. So you have different data controls than I'm going to have. And this technology really helps you tailor it to your needs, to your definitions of fields, how you want them used, and that might be fundamentally different than anybody else that's using that exact same platform. So this technology allows you to even more so customize or personalize the experience for your company and the users.
It's absolutely the key word there, to make sure it is personalised, because you say it's almost like having that trainer on your shoulder. The last question I would ask, because it's probably what a lot of people are thinking, is how difficult is it to implement that to existing systems?
So that's the best part about this entire journey. So ultimately, users don't know that the system is there. It's a pane of glass between them and the technology that they're already using. And the actual integration into your business process doesn't require a lot of IT knowledge or understanding. There's an initial deployment of an add-on to all of your like Internet Explorer, Chrome, Edge, etc. And that's really a one-time deployment that we did. The actual development of the content and where it shows and how you walk through that business process is actually done in our organization within procurement. It's not the IT organization that developed those use cases or how it's displayed or portrayed to the organization. It's really important that procurement has hold of your own destiny. When you see guided buying needs to go in place, or you can see that a message needs to be out there, you have to be able to deploy it quickly and effectively. And it doesn't take, IT development. We did this with a couple of procurement folks, and it was a part-time responsibility for one person to deliver all of that content. We now have additional people on the team, but ultimately we delivered all of our initial use cases with one person probably working 20% of their time. The hardest thing is, what are the words you want to use? What's the content? It's not the how, it's the what.
Yeah, and getting that personal touch. Heidi, thank you so much for that. The demonstration really talked us through very clearly. Really appreciated your time, and thanks for joining us at Procurement and Supply Chain Live New York.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.